Welcome to MojoPlays, and today we're taking a look at every game in the Marvel vs. Capcom franchise and ranking them from worst to best.
Check me out! I'm the ghost of Christmas Kick Your Ass!
Before we begin, we publish new videos all week long, so be sure to subscribe to MojoPlays and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos. Number 7. Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite.
We are born of two universes, each of them imperfect, each afflicted with the cancer of organic life.
MVCI will forever be remembered as the game that killed Marvel vs. Capcom. In all honesty, it wasn't because the gameplay was bad per se, and the technical performance was still buttery smooth, at least when not playing online. Really, the Infinity Stones did add an interesting layer to the action, however, the amount of changes made to the series' formula and roster were already leaving a bad taste in people's mouths. We're doing 2v2 instead of 3v3 now? Okay, I guess. Then you look at the Marvel half of the roster and wonder where in the hell are any of the X-Men? Why is it only MCU characters? Oh, because Disney. As for the Capcom half, it was basically all of MVC3 with Jedha, X Sigma, and Monster Hunter being the only new fighters. Then you have the abysmal story mode with its scattered brain plot and fanfiction level dialogue. Look, Infinite can be fun when it wants to be, but it gets so caught up in doing all this other crap to shake things up that it's just insufferable to sit through.
Have you come seeking forgiveness, my love?
Retribution.
Number 6. Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Fate of Two Worlds. Whereas Infinite was awful for being too ambitious, MVC3's base version was just okay. It was more MVC with an awesome roster and a fantastic art direction, and by that merit, it was already a great game. What makes it all fall apart, though, is just how little there is to do. All we got was arcade, character missions, and standard online functionality, which, the functionality was questionable at times. To be fair, most of us were getting this game to play with our friends anyways. However, when other fighting games like Tekken and Mortal Kombat were doing other interesting things with their extra game modes, well, where was the imagination here? Again, the initial iteration of MVC3 was not a bad game by any stretch of the imagination. We only wish it had a little more meat on its bones so we weren't doing the same 6-fight-long arcade ladders for the 100th time.
You win!
Number 5. X-Men vs. Street Fighter. The game that started it all, and though it ranks at the bottom half of the list, X-Men vs. Street Fighter is still a great game to play. Does it play as well as later entries? That's debatable. Really, the main reason you'd want to seek out X-Men vs. Street Fighter is for novelty. This was one of the first instances of bizarre crossovers in gaming, and while we had seen some oddities prior, this was the one where it was totally unexpected in concept and totally unexpected in quality. If there were any reasons to dock points for it, it would be the console ports. Only Japan got to experience the solid Sega Saturn port, while those of us here in the West suffered from a butchered iteration on the PS1 that drastically altered the gameplay and visuals. So for some of us, X-Men vs. Street Fighter is good, but not a game we'll jump into when future titles would improve upon things later on. Number 4. Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter.
Come and get me!
Ready, fight!
X-Men vs. Street Fighter may have got the ball rolling on mashing two brands together, but Marvel vs. Street Fighter got things rolling quicker by throwing in more Marvel heroes. The only major downside to the roster was that this expansion of heroes led to many of the X-Men getting pulled out in favor of Spider-Man, Hulk, and more. Unfortunately, for as cool as this change was, Marvel vs. Street Fighter suffered the same fate as its predecessor. Once again, Japan got to relish in a well-crafted port for the Sega Saturn, while us Westerners had to trudge through another languished PS1 port with heavily altered gameplay. We loved our PS1s, but man, how come Tekken was able to run just fine on these boxes, but not MVC? Number 3. Marvel vs. Capcom, Clash of Superheroes.
spider sense is tingling.
Do my name and fear. I am Onslaught.
Ready! Fight!
This was where MVC finally evolved into the franchise we know today, and we aren't just saying that because of the name. See, prior to this installment, the previous games didn't exactly function the way we're used to in modern MVC games. Here, the action was faster than ever before, with a bit more focus on vertical movement. Not only that, but you could call in your tag partner to unleash devastating supers in unison, or as we now know them today, hyper combos. If you want to explore the roots of MVC, this is definitely a great place to start, but it isn't going to replace the two most loved entries in the franchise. Besides, the roster here was very, very small compared to all of the other games. It's a good one, but it could have used more.
Hyper combo finish! KO!
Number 2, Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3.
How did anyone ever enjoy these games without me in them? Bring it on!
Now this is MVC 3. Where the base game failed, UMVC 3 picked up and made things substantially better. For starters, the online functionality was greatly improved, with fights going a lot smoother than they did on the base version of MVC 3. Second, we got 2 new game modes in Heroes and Heralds, a strategy game where you use teams of characters to conquer areas, and Galactus mode, which let us play the final boss for once. And to make the updated version even sweeter, Capcom threw in not just the 2 DLC characters from the original release, but a whopping dozen new playable characters like Rocket Raccoon, Ghost Rider, Frank West, and Phoenix Wright. For a time, Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 was the best MVC game to play on modern consoles, but a certain collection has changed things now.
Pineapple surprise! Woohoo! Bang, 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 bang. You have saved the Earth!
Number 1, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, New Age of Heroes. There's no denying that MVC2 is the best game in the entire franchise, and if you've been following MojoPlays or even watched Mojo for a long time, you'll know that we have put MVC2 on many lists regarding the best fighting games, and we often put it super high on those lists. Of course, we could spend so much time talking about the roster and the music and how those shaped the identity of the franchise, but the big reason why MVC2 is so widely loved by us and many, many others is because of how incredibly malleable it is in its mechanics. Even when you're not using top-tier characters, there are hundreds of permutations of fighters for you to experiment and discover insane combos with. Many within the FGC, like Chaos Vision and Justin Wong, are still finding crazy as hell setups and strings to dominate the scene, and it is stunning to watch. In other words, MVC2 is one of the ultimate onions of video games. No matter how many times you play it, there is a new layer of the game to discover, learn, and admire, and it is why, after even a train wreck like MVCI, people were still demanding, for years, demanding that we get MVC2. Tell us, have you been playing the new MVC collection? Hopefully none of you have gone against Justin Wong yet, but let us know about your experience down in the comments below, and be sure to subscribe to MojoPlays for more great videos every day.